Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni, the great Malabite. Action. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Morning.
Well, this, I hope by the time some of us make up our mind about bow tie, there will still be enough in the market to buy. Remember one government official who almost bought all the green ties around the country. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Mr.
Yes. Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, sir.
Yes, something green about your outlook. Well, we'll start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. We'll start with the story above the masthead. Bloomberg, Nigeria may suspend import levies on food to ease inflation. Yes, according to Bloomberg, Nigeria is considering suspending import duties on food items, medicines, to fight the inflationary trend, especially as it affects goods. Food and essential commodities like medicines. And this, according to documents cited by Bloomberg, this is there's a document already put forward before the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his consideration. And this import levy suspension will last for about 6 months, perhaps from now till the end of the year, so that it can force down the price of food, poultry, and other essentials. Because what is happening in the markets today, housewives are doing a great job of managing homes these days. The price of tomatoes seem to be a no-go area these days. I'm sure you will recall that there was a time we had this kind of tomato crisis, and housewives had to come up with some options for tomatoes in making their stew. Well, if you cannot eat stew, just do a very good vegetable soup. It will go down well with rice, right? I don't want to exhibit my culinary skills.
Oh, no, men and women are cooking.
We are eating more veggies. Very good.
But tomatoes is something we grow in this country, so the price cannot just go through the roof. And something is wrong. Something is not being done somewhere.
It's a disease, actually. With the
disease coupled with the fact that farmers are also not having the kind of access they used to have in their disease. We should be used to those diseases by now. We have research institutes all over the place. What are they doing? Something they should deal with because the price is high. But it's a measure the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is considering to ease inflation, food inflation specifically. And somebody are even saying they should add cement to that list so that those who have suspended building their homes everywhere, whether it's in Ipaja, Ayobo, or Lekki Free Trade Zone, can resume building. Yes. Now, the lead story of this day. Pro panel accuses El-Rufai of diverting 423 billion naira. Ex-governor says he served with integrity. Accuses ex-governor of reckless award of contract without due process. Alleged authorizing humongous withdrawals of naira, dollar, cash with no records of utilization. Denied states of resources for development. Yes, the House of Assembly, the Kaduna State House of Assembly, that is ad hoc committee set up to look into the activities of the El-Rufai administration, the 8-year administration of Nasir El-Rufai in Kaduna State. And that committee, chaired by Honorable Henry Zachariah, submitted its report and saying that most of the contract did not follow due process, and the monies spent for what they were not meant for. And of course, the figure there, that 423 billion naira was siphoned, yes, that's the word used there, by the El-Rufai administration. And of course, he breached his oath of office as contained in the 7th schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And they have recommended that the law enforcement agencies should please swing into action, investigate further, and bring all those who are culpable to book. And I think the EFCC should be interested in what is happening in Kaduna State. This matter should not just be left to the recommendations made by the House of Assembly based on their findings, and because if it is left at that stage, we don't want to hear tomorrow that El-Rufai has reconciled with the incumbent governor and everything is now normal. EFCC should take more than passing interest in what is happening in Kaduna State, not only in what happened in Kogi State. Now, we look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Alleged money laundering, El-Rufai kicks as Kaduna Assembly wants his government tried. The Guardian newspaper, cautious optimism as federal government unveils new fiscal deals to revive economy. Yes, and of course there's the other report there, the front page of the Guardian. Subsidy not gone as federal government confirmed 5.3 trillion naira spent on petrol. Yes, this day reported that story yesterday. But the new fiscal plan by the federal government, there is a document before the president, ASAP, for him to approve. Well, in the run-up to the presidential election, the Tinubu team was touted as one having a blueprint. They were showing all over the place. 1 year after, well, if your policies which the government unfolded from day one, and the impact is being seen as painful, not going in the right direction. Of course, the right to review and re-strategize to accelerate and fast-track economic growth as soon as possible. I don't think anybody can fault them for that. But we'll continue to look at the outcomes, not the documents. The outcome remains the same. Nigerians will continue to shout, cry out, as some cried out in Lagos the other day when the president visited. A big power, they're hungry. It's across the country. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, federal government's failure to make fresh offers towards wage talks as Labour hits back at Akpabio over allegation of economic sabotage, says real saboteurs are political elites looting, abusing power. Urges patriotic National Assembly members to disown Senate President. Nigerians need living wage, not minimum wage. Reps condemn Labour for shutting down national grid. Of course, the story below the photograph there. Government plans 6.6 trillion naira supplementary budget to fast-track economic growth, to unbundle commercialized TCN. ASAP recommends 20 executive orders to fast-track economy. Now, no new offer on the table. Of course, I don't expect to see a new offer because the president ordered the Minister of Finance to come up with a template of what they can pay. And that template should be submitted today, and I'm sure it will contain a number of options. If we're paying 90,000 naira per month, as Senator Ojus Okalu recommended, then this is what it will cost government. If government want to go further, taking the value of the naira into consideration, it should be somewhere around 120, between 120 and 150. Then, of course, all the scenarios will be put before the president, and federal government should make an offer because the tripartite committee will continue their deliberations today to arrive at an acceptable minimum wage, which will become law. But the House of Representatives yesterday passed a motion saying what the workers should be paid should not be minimum wage, but living wage. Something that can take a pay packet that can take the worker home and back to work. So all this will be taken into consideration as the deliberation for a new minimum wage continue today. Of course, the Punch newspaper reporting minimum wage finance minister submits template to Tinubu today. And Business Day newspaper, manufacturers turn lemons into lemonade with Naira devaluation. How Wemi, Dangote Cement, ride weaker currency to boost exports. Yes, if you're served with lemon, you just make lemonade. That's what manufacturers are doing right now. According to the Business Day newspaper. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, Northern Senators Magban reject bill restricting headers movement. Proposed law driven by emotions. Pastoralists. Ranching will end our clashes with herders. Farmers, all Nigerians have right to live anywhere in the country. Barao. Of course, the issue of ranching is not about whether somebody should live here or not. Rather, it's about best practices globally. Senator Titus Tatenga, who proposed that bill, APC Benue, for ranching to be the only means of rearing cattle instead of people moving from Maiduguri to Port Harcourt with cattle. And of course, there is division, northern senators taking sides, but I think they should look at what is best practices, because even those headers that follow cattle along those routes, I pity, because that shouldn't be the best way. We are not the greatest producers of beef in the world. Go to Australia, go to Argentina. They don't move cattle on foot from place to place. Now, if we look at the foreign newspapers quickly, we just look at the Citizen newspaper of South Africa. Will ANC choose wisely? Yes, ANC will the African National Congress in South Africa after failing to make that 50+1 majority in the last election. The ANC will put 3 options before its neck today. And on top of that is the government of national unity. And the Citizen newspaper is asking, Citizen newspaper of South Africa, will ANC choose wisely? Of course, there are other options also on the table. If we just go to the Daily News newspaper of Zimbabwe, brutal blackouts batter Zim again. Reason winter power consumption maintenance was behind all this. Of course, power problem in Zimbabwe. Now, the UK newspapers quickly, yes. The Guardian newspaper of UK, Sunak lied to country over labour tax and spend plans, says Starmer. Counter-offensive seeks to regain control after PM's contentious claims. And of course, the Daily Independent newspaper reporting that story, saying Treasury trashes Rishi Sunak over labour tax. But today, the 80th anniversary of D-Day is being celebrated in France. The D-Day, the historic landing of the Allied forces, parachutists landing, and yes, the beach of Normandy that effectively commenced the end of the Nazi occupation of European countries, including France. Ruben, Ayo, and
June 6, 1944.
Yeah.
12 midnight on June 6, the operation started with the Allied forces, involving many countries. 2 countries from Africa, South Africa and Southern Rhodesia were part of that coalition. The forces from the US, France, Germany, Canada, Australia, the Netherlands, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Norway. These were the countries that arrived to respond.
To this Zimbabwe, right?
Southern Rhodesia was there
South Africa
at that time.
Yeah.
South Africa was there at that time. And then they created 5 beachheads. Over 195,000 troops, over 95,000, Air Force troops, the largest seaward invasion ever in history to challenge, the Nazis who had invaded Russia and who had already advanced towards France and Western Europe. So on June 6, 1944, France was liberated. Beyond the liberation of France, there was also the liberation of the Western Front, leading to the Allied victories over Nazi Germany, which King Charles III described yesterday as a triumph for freedom fighters against the forces of tyranny. And that marked a major point in World War II. And yesterday in Portsmouth, the royals, led by King Charles III, had this ceremony, remembering the people who died so that others may live. Over 90,000 persons were either captured or missing, or they became prisoners of war. Over 100,000 persons died in that, Operation Neptune, as is what's known. And there have been celebrations on both sides of the channel. But I think what is important is the triumph over the evil represented by Nazi Germany at that particular point in the world. There were other developments, of course, in terms of the United Nations and other efforts to rebuild Europe and other efforts
the Marshall Plan
to promote the cause of peace in the world.